If you want to see part 2 of my makeup collection when it comes to palettes, then stick around. Alright, let's get this out of the way. If you like the contents of this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you like the content on this channel and you're not subscribed yet, subscribe! I can't believe I got this, to be quite honest. I think that I wanted to get a palette with a variety of colors from Urban Decay in one that was from 2018, and I just was not going to pay full price for Born to Run, and this one came on sale and I waited for weeks. It was on sale for weeks before I pulled the trigger and thought that I would depot it because I don't like round packaging. But as it turns out, I'm looking at these colors, and I did do color match side by side with everything that I have in my current Urban Decay collection, and I had no duplicates, surprisingly enough. That kind of shocked me, actually. I really thought that this one was going to be a dupe for Lounge, but it is absolutely not. So I am going to play with it. I'm very curious about this transformer color in the middle. I think that's what it is. And there were a lot of really good reviews from people I trust on YouTube. So I thought, well, for 2019, I will use this as my one new palette from Urban Decay. So we will see what happens with it. But I do really dislike this packaging, which is why I keep the box and always put it back in the box after I'm done looking at it. So yes, you will always see me putting it back in the box throughout the year. Next up is a neutral palette. This is the Urban Decay Naked Ultimate Basics. I really like, first off, can we just talk about the packaging? It's beautiful. I love what Urban Decay does with square packaging. I just don't like the round stuff. And I really enjoy the neutrals in here. If you want to do an all matte look, I don't do it very often, but this is a great palette for that if you want neutrals. And I enjoy the packaging, I enjoy the contents, along with this other one, the Naked Basics. I brought this traveling with me, and I just thought it was fantastic. I really enjoy faint, I enjoy foxy, very nice colors. And to just set a base for a look, I think that this is a very good palette. A palette that I am not as jazzed about owning is this Urban Spectrum. I have trouble with the packaging on this one. It's just like the Elements, the packaging does affect my ability to enjoy the palette. And the fact that there are no mattes in here, I do find that the only way that I can use this palette is if I use a companion palette. And it can feel cumbersome sometimes. So it's, in a way, I have a love-hate relationship with the packaging because I think it's very, very unique. But it's a pain for me to store. When I put it sideways, it does kind of gape and open up. One that I do like more is the Urban Decay Full Spectrum. And though it's not really matte colors, the shimmer in these shadows is not quite as aggressive as it is in the Urban Spectrum. And I do find myself being able to enjoy this palette more. And it's a rainbow palette, but I do really like it. And my favorite color in it is the color Mean right down here. I have done beautiful sunset looks with this palette. I'm very happy it's in my collection. Another one that is, in this case, I would say almost a crown jewel for me is, and it's going to be very blinding, is this Heavy Metals palette. And it's beautiful with the 10 very metallic, colorful shades and the more neutral shades on the other side. It's beautiful, and it can really make an eye look pop by just adding one of these shadows to the look. I am never disappointed when I pull this out, even if it's just to use it as inspiration. And even though a lot of folks hate the packaging, I think it's bomb. I think it's awesome. Except when I'm using a ring light. Next up is the Jean-Michel Basquiat palettes. I have 3 of these palettes. The other one is a face palette, so it's not in this section of the palette collection. This is my favorite of the 2. and all of these colors work so well together. It is such a well-curated palette. I cannot tell you. I absolutely love this palette. It's definitely in my top 3 for colorful palettes. It's beautiful. If there's something that Urban Decay does well, it's color. And now this is the more neutral one. And I enjoyed all of these colors, but I'm not as much of a fan of neutral palettes as I am of the colorful palettes. So obviously this one takes a back seat to the first colorful one. But the artwork also just drew me to these palettes. I think they're beautiful. I do care about the packaging. When it comes to palettes, I think palettes are artistry and packaging matters. This is a beautiful palette that I just got my hands on late this year, and it is the Electric palette, and it is beautiful. Every single one of these shadows is unique in my opinion as far as the formulation, the color that it is, and I am so looking forward to playing with it. The only thing I've done so far is just played personally with swatching. I have not featured it at all on this channel yet, but don't worry, it is coming. And now we have the Nakeds. Everybody knows the Nakeds. So let's look at these real quick. The velvet gets fluffs all over it. This is the original, and this one, along with 3 other ones I got as part of a vault. But I'm very happy I ended up getting this one, not just because it was discontinued. I'm happy. I was happy well before I heard that. But this one is really, it's the only one that I would keep if I had to only pick one, because you can replicate a look in at least 3 other Naked palettes just by using this one, which I think is amazing. The Naked 2 is the cooler cousin, and I do very much like it as well. There are a few favorite colors, but I have a whole set of videos on the Naked, so I won't go over it too much. This is the Naked 3. I ended up liking this one more this year than before, which shocked the heck out of me, and it actually displaced the Naked Heat. I'm surprised. I now like the Naked 3 more than the Naked Heat, but I do like the Naked Heat. Scorched is amazing. I still very, very much like this palette, and Ashes is such a unique color. I really like it. I really like it. I'm not using it a ton, but I really like it. And this used to be my favorite, but it got displaced by the Naked OG now. And it also has quite a range of colors, which is probably why I liked it so much. When I want a smoky eye, I don't even think. I just go to this one. It's just the best palette for it, and I think its name is well deserved. Next up, I have the newest brand to my collection, and this is the Linda Hallberg brand. And it is a Swedish brand, if I'm not mistaken. This is a palette that I just used in a recent video. It is absolutely beautiful. And it's called Enchanted Secrets because the shadows in here they shift. I don't know if you can tell. They shift a great deal. And they're absolutely gorgeous. So I am so pleased that I got this little guy, despite the fact that it's quite expensive. And the one that I actually placed the order for to begin with, this one, the metallics, I'm not as jazzed about. I haven't used them yet. I swatched them and I kind of went, meh. But I have to give them a fair shot. The only one out of the 4 so far that shocked me is the Collision. And it was even included in the quad that she released last year. So she re-released it in this one, and there's a reason. It's absolutely, and I don't use this word very often, this one truly is stunning. It's beautiful. And see, at first swatch I do, it's just, there's just something to it that is transformative, really. And the last palette that I have of this collection, it will show up in the face palettes as well, because this palette is both. It is intended to be used anywhere on the face, and it can double as eyeshadow as well as face products. And, well, any shadows can, but in this palette, it's heavily encouraged, and so I consider it both. And I have not swatched this one. I have not touched it. It will be... I'll focus on it sometime soon, but I want to give it its proper attention. This is another palette that can go into both, and that is the Smashbox Shape Matters, and it's called Oh, it's just, this is just the Shape Matters, because the other one is also called Shape Matters, but for eyes. So this one is a travel palette. You have your brow products, you have your eyeshadows, and you have your face products as well. I have taken it with me traveling. I have enjoyed it. And it's very basic, so I bring a color palette along, but I do enjoy the brush as well. You can really do everything with this palette, and it has a very nice mirror as well. So I do enjoy the palette, and I have used the face products for eyeshadows as well, and those work great. Now the second one of the Smashbox palettes that I have, and I have been tempted by far more than that, but I've resisted, I've stayed strong, is this Shape Matters Eyes. This is the matte exposure, and this is what it looks like. And this is the palette that I am panning this year because it is the older palette in my collection, and I would love to see it be used up and out of here. A brand that I think is totally underrated is Buxom. I have two palettes of theirs. This one is the Dolly's Wild Side, and well, these five shades are Dolly's Wild Side. The other five, the other one here is La La Lavish, which I pressed into this because this is also a Buxom shadow. And I transferred that one cashmere into this other one, which is the, I always lose the brush, which is the Suede Seduction. It had an accident, and I ended up losing Hot or Yacht, which was right here, and so cashmere is in here. So I still have 12 Buxom shadows in palettes, which is what I really like. And unfortunately this one, Cashmere Cravings, had an accident, but I managed to fix it up a little bit, and it's still very usable. The Blend Like a Dream, I also love the fact that you can, since you know I switched them around, you can switch them around in trays. The eyeshadow is very, very solid from this brand. Every time I use it, I think, how come I don't use these palettes more? So, very, very good palettes. I have 4 palettes from Morphe. Let's go over these very quickly. This is the Boss Mood palette, and it's the newest one of the Morphes that I have, and I really love these colors, but I've mostly played with the greens so far. I need to do a complete focus on this palette. I would really enjoy it, I'm sure. Oh, as I dug, shoot. I just dug my finger into it. But yes, I will do a focus on this palette for sure, trying all of the shades so that I have more than just a couple that I go to when I want to use that palette. Next up, the 35B is another one that I have. Very predictably rainbow palette, but when I want a given color, I know I can go in here and there's going to be at least a few options for various shades that are, well, part of the rainbow, right? Very easy to go to, but I haven't used it yet. I bought it because I was in that search for the perfect yellow, and it has a decent yellow in it. The one that got me believing that Morphe was okay was actually this palette. I did a full focus on it, used all the shades, and there's not a dud in here. They're all good. The only comment I had was that I feel there's some duplication where you can't really tell the difference on the eye. So maybe it could have been a smaller palette, but apart from that, I think it's a very, very solid palette, and it could be the one and only palette that people own. It's that reasonably diverse to do a ton of looks. And finally, I have the Dare to Create palette by Morphe again, and I have just used a few shadows. This one also needs for me to completely swatch it and play with it, and the fact that it has these shades in the middle here, some of these can also act as face products, and I'm just curious to see what I can do with this. Obviously 39 shades is a lot, but I am attracted to the blues, the greens, definitely some of the purpley browns. So yeah, you will see me use this palette thoroughly in this year, 2019. Next up is Tarte, and similar to what I did with Makeup Forever, I also have some magnetic palettes from Tarte, and I will show you what is in those. First off is the Tartiste Pro To Go, and this is what it looks like. This palette has convinced me that if I can get the Tartiste Pro on sale, not this year because this is my no-buy year, but in 2020, if it's still around, I would not be against it because I really love these shades. Every time that I've used it, and I have brought it on a trip, actually 2 trips, I have really enjoyed this palette. It's a very solid palette, and I'm a fan of the Tarte eyeshadow formula. This is a small Tarte magnetic palette, just going to show you what's in here. I've got a couple of Tarte blushes, but nothing much else to talk about here. I have the 3 Tartelette palettes. I got them as a vault. This is my favorite one. I really enjoy this one. It is all matte, but for some reason, I reach for it more than the other 2. I cannot tell you why exactly. Probably the plum colors. I enjoy plum, given I have green eyes. I really enjoy this one. And I couldn't figure out why this one was so much more popular, but I think it's because of the shimmers, the fact that it's a mix. But I'm not as big of a fan of the mattes in this one, so yeah, it's the Tartelette in Bloom, and second favorite. And the one that was kind of a regret, but I sort of got it for free because it was a vault, and the other 2 kind of paid for it, is I just don't reach for it, and I'm more likely to reach for the Naked Heat when I'm looking for warm colors like this, and unfortunately it kind of goes by the wayside. I love this palette. The packaging is beautiful. For a cardboard packaging, it's super well executed. It's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I do, however, tend to think about this palette as a face palette, and I don't use the shadows quite so much. But I think that is changing because I have the Park Avenue Princess now, and I think that I do consider this palette more of an eyeshadow palette now than ever before. Every single look I have done with this palette has been great. So I highly recommend this one. I would not have picked up the second one, but I think that the second one, the shadows are also pretty decent, although I haven't tried it, so I can't endorse it 100%. But I'm very happy that I picked up this palette for sure. Magnetized palettes, you'll see that I have 3 of these. I kind of have a thing for leopard. This one has not been used, but there's a plan for it, so I'll put it over here. And I like these more than I like this one, because this one, the material they used to cover it, it's not as strong, and I like the size, but I only want 1 of these, and this is the one that I will always bring with me traveling because I can put exactly what it is that I want in here. And a lot of these products are actually products that I would travel with. There are a couple of mini eyeshadows, a finishing powder from Makeup Forever, a couple of blushes from Makeup Forever, Tarte, and this is an eye primer, so powder to set my eyes. So very functional, very useful little palette. These guys, though, I think they are beautiful. They're textured. That leopard print, that is my weakness. I will definitely do a video on leopard print. There's a good reason I need to do a video on leopard print, but we'll leave it at that. And this one is my face palettes, and you will see there are some bronzers and blushes. Those are from, the square ones are from Benefit. This one is from Tarte. This one is from Tarte as well. This is the Park Avenue Princess. And I have a few, this is Annabelle Shadows, and this is a Sephora Shadow Duo. I just depotted my Benefit blushes, and I'm very happy I did, because the Cheekathon packaging I really did not like, and I'm much happier having these in this format. I just think this palette is beautiful, and I'm more likely to reach for my Benefit blushes and bronzers now that they're in here. And I'll just give you a sneak peek at some singles. There will be more on that later, but I have the Cleonade singles, the top half there. That is all Cleonade shadows, and I will talk about those more in the future. Now for a brand that I have kept really quiet about on this channel, and that is I purchased them in December because they went on half off, and this is Colored Raine. So out of all of them, my top two are the Vivids, because I love color. I have not touched this palette yet. I will have a full, thorough, brand new focus on Colored Raine. I can't wait to get my fingers into this palette. I cannot tell you how much I am looking forward to it. These were singles before, now they are released as a palette. I'm very happy about that. The person who convinced me to get this one is Angelica Nyqvist, and she loves to play with color, and she highly endorsed this one, and so I thought I would give it a try for Vivid Mattes. And one that really was kind of, a lot of people were talking about it, but one person who was really big on this Queen of Hearts palette was, or is, Jen from Jen Loves Reviews. And she was so big on it, I thought, you know, okay, I'll give this one a shot. The colors are definitely my jam. I really enjoy this type of burnt orange, plum. I even just did a look with mostly those colors yesterday and had a great time. And this one was a blockbuster hit, and so I thought, well, if there is a palette to try from Colored Raine, I think that the Queen of Hearts is a really good idea. So I decided to pick that one up. And I love the sleeve, but it's a pain to put back on. This one's easier. This next one is Cheers to the Beauty, and I wanted a palette that was more colorful than the Queen of Hearts to try, but not as wild as the Vivids. And this one had mixed reviews, but because it was colorful, I decided to go for it anyway. And it's very shiny, so my apologies for that. Hopefully you can see the colors. It is very colorful and a lot of shimmers / shimmery metallics in here. And so I actually thought this would be a good complement to the Queen of Hearts palette, and hopefully I'm not wrong. So we will see what I think of that. And I'm not sure why the highlighter is included, but I could be pleasantly surprised. So we will see. Maybe it's more, it can act like a transformer shade. I haven't really seen a whole lot of folks using that one, but I haven't really gone to look for it either. But I'm sure that I can make up my own mind as far as what I think of this palette. You can tell that I trust I'm going to like a brand if I buy 4 palettes all at once. This one, it's Rust. Do I need to say more? I like the Rust colors, and I have not swatched any of these or anything. That's why they are pristine. I know I'm going to like this Dream color. I'm virtually certain of it. And this mustard yellow, that is absolutely up my alley. So I can already see this would be a fantastic look. And then these two, beautiful as well. I'm looking forward to using this palette. I have to say though, this is probably a candidate for getting it depotted sooner than later. I just find it very bulky for what it is. I could be wrong. It's very pretty. It's just, I just think it's bulky. But that is a brand. You can expect a brand new focus on all of these products. I'm super excited about, and really, really looking forward to trying them. We're down to our last 3 palettes. First one I have here is a Physicians Formula, and this is a tiny palette that I have kept. I did declutter one of the 2 that I had that were shimmers like this, and this one I kept because of the golds. And I think this one is one of the reasons I did not go for the Natasha Denona Gold. I was able to just hold tight and not purchase that palette. To me, I can try so much more for the cost of one Natasha Denona palette, and I'm not convinced that it's fantastic value. So, well, quality for the money, I guess. So this one, whenever I want a gold, and I have used, the most recent one that I used is this one, actually. But I have used all of them. You can see that there's wear on it, and they're just solid. They're really solid, metallic, glitter shadows. Nothing else to say. I think I mean, they're only $7 or $8. It's crazy. It's so cheap. And 2 palettes that are drugstore palettes. I don't consider them drugstore palettes because they are so expensive. These guys were $30 Canadian each. I have not swatched them. I have not done anything with them, but I do have them in my collection now. One of them is the Grind palette, And this one gives me subculture vibes, so I'm very curious to try it. They're all colors that I would really enjoy. Actually, subculture vibes and also Kat Von D Quad vibes. A lot of similar colors to what I've seen in those. And yeah, the mattes are really what I'm super drawn to in this palette. And finally, this is the last palette in my collection. And this is the NYX Ignite. And this one is more on the rosy color, rosy plum color. Whoop. And I think that they are a good complement to each other. So sorry about the glare. When I take a look at this one, I'll just bring out the other one again. I think, hopefully you can see, I think that you can see how they are complementary to each other. And 12 pans, I think, is a good mix. Now I can see already a lot of these colors that I have colors like that in my collection, but I like the color story very much on these, and I was able to get them for half off, and I thought, you know, I hear NYX is a lot better at their eyeshadows these days, and like the Swear By It palette, I think it was, got some pretty good reviews, and so I thought, okay, I will try you, NYX. I will give it a go and see what I think. That is it for part 2 of my eyeshadow palette collection. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it very much, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. But for now, take care.